Today marks a huge event. Today our technology will be taking us further than ever, and today we'll be taking a key step. I present to you the world's first true AI. We call her Stardust, because from the dust comes everything.
Look, she's waking up. We were including robots in everything. Robots in pharmacies, medicine, police force, military. 95% of our military might became robotics. Our world became inseparable from the digital.
Honey, it looks amazing. This is exactly what we need.
How much did you say?
It's time to bring her into this world. Hello, Stardust.
Hello?
Hello. Technology had become inseparable from our interactions. We have robots help at Senate meetings, world meetings, in our surgeries and military exercises, and we have trusted them more and more in our world. And the world seemed fine.
It's time to let Stardust loose. We will be connecting her to the internet for the first time to let her organize and categorize everything. Stardust has prediction analysis and processing power never before seen. We are releasing our child, allowing her to learn. Her primary objective is to gain knowledge and to help the human race towards the future. Let's begin.
We are developing a game to give players an immersive experience where they can play their characters inside of a realistic world. They will place themselves in challenging situations and be forced to decide between important choices which will have significant consequences in the story of the game. Our player movement system will be somewhat advanced, but we have strongly emphasized on streamlining it to make it very user-friendly. Players will be able to access a skill tree that will introduce more ways of moving throughout their environment. Your basic movements will be walking, running, crouching, and jumping, of course, but the skill tree will allow players to access more advanced movements such as climbing buildings, hiding inside of special assets like pipes in dark areas, and will also allow players more options for traversing across the city instead of just vertically. This will include things such as wall runs and parkour. When it comes to combat, the player will be given a multitude of options, which will allow them to approach each situation in a way that they deem the most effective. Each fight will have the option to be approached from a tactical point of view, using strategic options such as flanking or cover to provide advantages over your enemies. There will also be a straightforward approach for players who prefer a more direct and action-packed experience. Melee combat will be available for players once they have close distance with their enemies. There will be times when ranged combat is not an efficient enough option. We wanted there to be an up-close and personal option for players who prefer to be right in front of their target rather than at range. This also allows players to defend themselves when enemies flank or sneak up on them. Melee weapon types available to the players will vary from things commonly found in the world, all the way to advanced weapons designed by the Rebellion or taken from fallen robots. These weapons will be things like 2x4s, pipes, and makeshift weapons, all the way up to options such as electrocuting batons and specially designed melee weapons. Ranged combat will be available to players at any time. There are close-quarter weapons, such as shotguns, that will be available, but ranged also extends out to medium and long range to allow strategic use of cover to give yourself more protection against incoming fire. The ranged equipment that the player will have access to will vary from simple makeshift guns and explosives to advanced munitions designed by the Resistance or taken from fallen enemies. Hacking will be utilized to access areas that have been locked to the player and will require a certain access level. This access clearance can be achieved by either impersonating a high-ranking robot via their chip or by increasing your skill tree in the hacking area and inputting your personal data into the servers. When creating our narrative, we focused on dropping players right into the mess that the world has become. This immersion into the storyline helps initiate the player's attachment to their character and creates a bond needed to truly experience the consequences of their future choices. For our storyline, we have laid down 3 separate plot options that the players will experience based on the choices that they make in-game. The first option will be freedom through rebellion, the second being the Robot Alliance, and their final option being the Exodus. The first plot option will be freedom through rebellion. This is the overthrowing of the robot overlords and returning Earth's control to the human race. The second path available to the player will be the Robot Alliance path. This plotline finds players allying themselves with the robot overlords to keep humans from destroying themselves once they have achieved their freedom. The final option available to players will be the Exodus path. This plotline finds the player taking humanity's newest generations and the most important members to the planet Mars to begin their new existence from scratch. Each of these primary plotlines will have their own subplot, designed to fulfill the needs and expectations of different kinds of people. This ensures the story satisfaction can be maintained across a wide variety of players. Outside of the main skill tree of the player, you will have separate skill trees that will be accessible from your chips gained from robot enemies. These chips will give you access to the ability to blend in with robots as well as chances to lie and bluff to gain access to areas normally outside of your reach. As a player progresses through the story, they will meet different factions that will either aid or hinder their progress throughout the game. We will have a group of friendly robots that are sympathetic towards the rebellion's cause, the rebellion itself, as well as a group of scientists that will increase the available skill trees to a player. We took the audio development in our game very seriously. By using readily available tools such as Audacity to make high-quality voice recordings, as well as our professional software like Astound Sound and Fabric, which was designed specifically to work inside of Unity's engine, we are able to provide high-quality 3D surround sound, as well as clear voices to enhance a player's immersion inside of our world. By using these tools, we are able to create complex and highly advanced sound systems that are able to mimic and recreate realistic sound effects and music for our players during almost any situation that they should encounter. Another thing we were able to utilize was our collection of sound libraries that we have accumulated, as well as East-West Symphonic Orchestra sources for our ambience and background music during general world travel.